bunch of devil worshippers in Hollywood. Hollywood, and there's a lot of black folks too, and they be throwing up them signs. You see them, this, that, all of them. Watch the rappers, watch them folks. It's scary.
Beyonce is the top earning woman in music. She makes around $105 million, or at least she did last year. So along with all those riches, fame also brings bizarre allegations, like the lady who went to court accusing Beyonce of practicing extreme witchcraft.
Beyonce sure can cast a spell with her performances. But is she also practicing witchcraft? In head-scratching court papers, Kimberly Thompson, a former drummer for the singer's all-girl band, is accusing Beyonce of, get this, extreme witchcraft and magic spells and the murder of my pet cat. She's actually filed a restraining order against the star. Sounds kooky, right? And that's probably why a judge immediately denied Thompson's request for a restraining order. There's always been whispers that Beyonce belongs to some kind of secret society. They point to hand signals like this as an example of her communicating cryptic messages. But the accusations of witchcraft take things to a whole new, strange level.
Do you record while the bus is moving, or does it have to come to a stop?
Yeah, well, sometimes they don't want to, and they're saying, Gaga, we can't get, the frequency's weird, and, it's sounding a little bit strange, and I'm like, if you don't get this right now, I swear to Lucifer, I'm gonna, I get a little bit mad.
I had this dream quite recently that was so terrifying, so morbid and terrifying, and I called Deepak Chopra, who I work with, and I was telling him my dream, terrified, that the devil, and the dream was so terrifying, I thought somehow a devil force was trying to take hold of me, a darkness. I guess I see devil and darkness as the same thing.
Where are we?
No, I mean, I like that kind too.
Sure.
But I'm talking more the magic that we experience in life. Whether it's love or a drunken evening,
Yep.
dancing till the sun rises, making out with a ghost.
Do you think some people are more kind of prone to things like that happening to them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I am prone to that because
Yeah.
I'm very open to the supernatural. I've experienced multiple ghosts in my life, or supernatural energies, whatever you want to call them. So it's just like the symbolism and the occult is kind of always in the peripheral. I am definitely drawn to the occult.
You ever look at music that you've written and look back at it and say, whoa, that surprised me?
I used to. I don't do that anymore. I don't know how I got to write those songs.
What do you mean you don't know how?
Well, those early songs were like almost magically written. Darkness at the break of noon, shadows even the silver spoon, a handmade blade, a child's balloon.
Eclipses both the sun and moon. To understand you knew too soon. There is no sense in trying.
Well, try to sit down and write something like that. There's a magic to that, and it's not Siegfried and Roy kind of magic. It's a different kind of a penetrating magic. And I did it. I did it at one time.
You don't think you can do it today? Does that disappoint you?
Well, you can't do something forever, and I did it once, and I can do other things now, but I can't do that.
The truth, all right? This is my God's honest truth, okay? When I look back at our music, right, there are certain songs that I'll be the next day, I'll be at the studio next day reading the lyrics before I go into the booth, and I'm like, I have no recollection of writing this song. I did not write this song, And some of it, I'm laughing at it, or I'm like, oh, that's dope. And I know I did not write this, yet supposedly that's supposed to be for me. And I know in my heart and soul, that's not for me. Like, I never had a fascination with horror movies. I never had a fascination with carnivals. Did you? I mean, you.
Not at all.
It was never our about it, And somehow, certain elements to our music were ghostwritten by this presence that we've
By a
named
spirit,
the
by
Dark
the
Carnival.
power.
You know, we name it.
Yeah.
And I think the same presence, okay, like for example, you know, Michael Jackson used to say, we're huge Michael Jackson fans, by the way. Michael Jackson used to say, when, you know, he would call his producer at 4 a.m. and be like, hey, make this beat. And he would be, you know, beatboxing it out, and the producer would be like yawning, oh, Mike, can't we do this in the morning? And he used to joke and say, no, because when the inspirations, when you get the messages from above, you've got to take them and work on them now, or they might give it to Prince. That's what Michael Jackson used to say. And,
I love that. And
so I think a lot of people that are artists of any kind of way, whether it's music like us or it's, you know, painting a picture, anything, I think if they're successful and they've got people coming up to them saying wonderful things, you know, some of it, you know, you can't take credit for what they're saying.
Now here's some real folklore about Gangsta's Paradise. I never picked up my pen. I wrote Gangsta's Paradise out like I already knew it. It was a divine intervention.
It really is kind of crazy how that thing all came together.
You know, I gotta say it like this. I didn't even write Gangsta's Paradise. Gangsta's Paradise wrote me, bruh. Yeah, I was an instrument. And it was, the song was the entity, and it was like this. And it wrote itself.
Today's music is powered by an unprecedented technology and popularized by the largest, wealthiest, and most leisured generation in history. Music has changed the modern world in ways more profound than any other social phenomenon. Evidence of its impact is all around us. Music has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. It might seem inconsequential, but music can definitely have a powerful impact on both the culture from which it is born and the society in which it is released. Science confirms that humans are hardwired to respond to music. Scientific research has shown that music activates more portions of the brain than any other human activity. Today, people are submerged in music. It's everywhere we go. It's in our cars. It's with us at the gym or while shopping in stores. Music can bring about every emotion of the human mind. It's no wonder that music has such a powerful effect on our culture. Does that effect being used in a positive or negative way? And are there unseen forces directing this powerful art form? Many philosophers and politicians through history have recognized the power of music and how it can be used to change culture and influence ideas. Communist leader and founder of the Soviet Union, Vladimir Lenin, said, "One quick way to destroy a society is through its music." According to Plato, music is able to bypass reason and penetrate the soul. He said because more than anything else, rhythm and harmony find their way into the innermost soul and take the strongest hold upon it. Dr. Richard Pellegrino, medical consultant to the entertainment industry, said in an article to Billboard magazine that he had researched how music can impact the brain and says it produces endorphin highs and can trigger a flood of emotions and images that have the ability to instantaneously produce very powerful changes in emotional states. He closes his commentary with, "Take it from a brain guy. In 25 years of working with the brain, I still cannot affect a person's state of mind the way that one simple song can." Harvard professor Henry Longfellow famously said, "Music is the universal language of mankind." And this would go well with what Socrates once said, "When the soul hears music, it drops its best guard." That might be one of the best descriptions of the power that music has. With music, it is possible to open a door into the heart of the listener. Once inside, the musician can either enhance the interior of the soul or desecrate it in the worst ways. Music can be for healing the soul or for damaging the soul. Studies have shown that music can cause the brain to release dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that controls the brain's reward and pleasure centers. Dopamine is the same nerve that gets released when having sex, eating, or taking addictive drugs such as cocaine. It's what makes things pleasurable. Music can be addictive, and Dr. Adam Nasty studied the influence of music on people and said, "It's really a powerful drug. Music can poison you. lift your spirits, or make you sick without knowing why. When reading the Bible, there's a biblical interpretive method known as the principle of first mention. This means when you see something used in the Bible for the first time, it can have a special significant meaning. In Genesis 4:21, we see the lineage of Cain, which is a symbol of rebellion. In Cain's lineage, we find music mentioned for the first time, and it's in association with Cain's offspring who disregarded God's word.
And his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ.
The Bible says that music existed before Cain's lineage. In Ezekiel 28:13, we find the creation story of Lucifer, and it says he had every beautiful covering stone. Then it says he had the workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes. The word tabret is where we get the word tambourine from. It's a musical instrument or ability. Lucifer was given the gift of music when he was created.
Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes were prepared in thee in the day thou wast created.
God says he created Lucifer with tabrets and pipes in him. In essence, he was given special musical abilities when he was created. Lucifer was a cherubim angel. He stood in the very presence of God as the highest-ranking angel. Many theologians believe Lucifer was the leader of God's worship service in heaven. Satan's talents in music is beyond our comprehension. Having this gift, Satan would know how to use music in a destructive way. But even worse, he could use it against you negatively without you even realizing it's having adverse effects on you. In the book of 1 Samuel, we have a story that gives us a glimpse into the power of music. In the story, when God's Spirit left King Saul because of his consistent disobedience, an evil spirit came to harass him. One of the remedies to drive away the demon was music.
But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. And Saul's servant said unto him, Behold now, an evil spirit from God troubleth thee. Let our Lord now command thy servants which are before thee to seek out a man who is a cunning player on an harp. And it shall come to pass, when the evil spirit from God is upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul, that David took an harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him.
This story demonstrates that music is spiritually significant. If pleasant divine music can drive away an evil spirit, then it would be safe to conclude that other kinds of nefarious music could attract them and have serious consequences. This is exactly what we see through history. For thousands of years, shamans have channeled spirits using the beating of drums and music. Demonic possession has always played a key aspect in tribal religious ceremonies. Many do not realize this is where rock and roll is derived from. The tribal music came over on the slave trades, then over time developed into blues and later became rock and roll. We also see similar practices with the Greeks. They also had rituals using music and dancing to channel spirits. Ancient Greek philosophers wrote about spirits that would possess people and inspire them to make music and poetry. These spirits were called muses, and this is where we get the word music from today. Historians and archaeologists say that possession by muses plays a major role in the Greek arts. Greek philosopher Plato wrote about possession being a key aspect to the arts. He said the third type of possession and madness is possession by muses. But if a man comes to the door of poetry, quite untouched by the madness of the muses, believing that technique alone will make him a good poet, he and his sane compositions never reach perfection. They are instead utterly eclipsed by the performances of the possessed man. The Greek philosophers understood the arts they were witnessing was coming from a more powerful spiritual source. They identified what they referred to as different types of madness or possession. The inspiration could come in different forms, such as dreams, thoughts, or some artists said they heard actual voices giving them directions. The famous Greek poet Hesiod, who lived around 750 BC, tells how he received his gift as a poet and musician. He said while tending his flocks, a spirit he called a muse breathed into him and inspired him with the art of divine music. What kind of message did the muses tell Hesiod? They said, "We know how to tell many lies that look like genuine things, but we also know, when we will, how to proclaim things that are true." End quote. I could literally give hours of quotes from artists in history who said spirits inspired them. It's very interesting that musicians today are saying something similar. As we saw in the beginning of the video, popular musicians said their music was coming from a spiritual power. Like Bob Dylan, for example, recognized that he could not write lyrics like he did when he was younger. He said it was like a magic that helped him write those songs. Then he said it was not a Siegfried and Roy type of magic. Coolio, who wrote the award-winning single Gangster's Paradise, said the lyrics just flowed out of him like he already knew the song before he wrote it. Most of these artists do not realize that the spiritual power that's guiding them is demonic. Satan is called the prince of the power of the air, and these artists are just pawns that he uses to captivate the masses and change the culture. As we saw in the previous episodes, the popular occultist Alistair Crowley has had a huge impact on music and film. Although he died in 1947, his writings became very popular among rock musicians during the 60s. Crowley is considered the most influential Satanist of the 20th and 21st century and is called the father of Satanism. Crowley declared war on Christianity and said that religion they call Christianity, the devil they honor they call God. It is their God and their religion that I hate and will destroy. Crowley was a 33rd degree Freemason, along with many other things he practiced, like yoga, Buddhism, Hinduism, and black magic. He encouraged people to practice voodoo and ancient Greek rituals to invoke spirits. In Italy, Mussolini had him deported for practicing human sacrifices. Crowley practiced witchcraft and believed in child sacrificing to obtain power from Satan. He also created his own secret society and religion called Thelema. In the last episode, we saw that artists like David Bowie, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, The Doors, the Beach Boys, and many others followed Crowley and credited their fame to his teachings. Crowley said in his writings, "If one follows my black magic, I can enable him to be a genius in music." Many artists participate in Crowley's black magic for the purpose of success. His goal was to target the youth, and he said, "Use music and an army of youth to bring in the new age." Crowley believed he could target the youth and use music to change culture, and he wanted to get rid of Christianity and Western society. It is surprisingly shocking to find out how many artists have some connection with Crowley. Most of these artists keep their practices of Crowley's magic rituals a secret, but when we examine the symbolism used in their videos or stage performances, it becomes obvious who is really behind their music. One iconic artist that is blatantly using satanic symbols is Lady Gaga. She is known for her flamboyant costumes and provocative lyrics. She has become one of the most recognizable pop singers in the world. In Lady Gaga's case, truth is indeed stranger than fiction. She has openly admitted to being possessed by spirit entities that have influenced her music. She has stated that she has embraced her satanic nightmares as the inspiration behind her songs. Gaga glorifies occult symbolism in her stage performances, and her continual use of satanic imagery like the Egyptian Eye of Horus or the wearing of Baphomet horns further reveals where her allegiance is. In 2013, Lady Gaga worked with and became close friends with Marina Abramovic, who was no stranger to the occult and esoteric world. Abramovic, quite like Gaga, likes to dress up as a witch and adorn herself with goat heads, devil horns, and all sorts of satanic symbolism. Marina has ties to many powerful people, including musicians, actors, and politicians. Marina Abramovic has documented herself practicing a satanic ritual known as spirit cooking. In the video, she uses some of the ingredients from Alistair Crowley's Book of the Law. The ritual is Crowley's way of mocking the Last Supper Jesus had with the apostles. Lady Gaga praises the satanic spirit cooker for her disturbing art.
Marina, I think you are so wonderful, so beautiful and inspiring, and as a woman, I want to translate what her work means.